And we are live. I see unfinished projects in the house. What's up, buddy? Thanks for popping in. We're back. Sunday night. We're hanging out here in the shop. It's not freezing. It's about 55 degrees out. So we can hang out a little bit with everybody. Let's see how that is. Can we hear now? Somebody give me a thumbs up. Can you hear me? It was working. Nothing. That's weird. Let me go in here and see what's going on here. Okay. Let me check this because it should have been working. Wired headset. Give me 1 second, fellas. I have no idea this. It should have been working. I was trying to use a wireless mic, but apparently it's not going to work. So let's go in and do it the old-fashioned way. And we'll just set it to default. I can see. There we go. We're back. All right. Hey, Amanda. What's up? Everything's working now, Schultz. Cool. Yeah, we're out here. It's not snowing, not freezing. Thanks everybody for stopping in. We just figured we'd take a little bit. We're not going to be on here super long, maybe an hour tonight. What's everybody been up to? We haven't been up to anything, like I said, but towing. You know how that goes. We've been busy every day running around, but you know how that goes. We can't wait till it gets warm and actually do something normal. Nothing's much changed around here. We haven't killed the Monte Carlo yet. We put about 5,000 miles on it so far. It's still hanging in there, so we're gonna wait on that. Probably where we ain't got to rely on it once the Cutlass is together here and back up and running. Then we'll go ahead and stick the spray on that Monte Carlo. I can't afford to break it right now because I got to drive it every day. But we're not afraid of breaking anything. You know, so if it breaks, it breaks. We'll have that. As you can see, Cutlass is in the background. It's still in its winter slumber, hanging out. I started it up a couple weeks ago and moved it, so it's running. But finally, we just got to get around to it. We've had the parts for so long. I've had, what's up, hippie? Eat, sleep, and work. That's about it. But no, we've had the parts laying around here for, I don't know, a couple months now. We can play that game over here and grab it. We could probably play the game of what's in the box, but we've had this for a while. Actually, we've had it since last year, but that'll be number two because the airflow problems we ran into with the way it's running. Hey, what's up, Mopar Dad? Thanks for popping in. Yeah, everything's doing good, but there's a sneak peek of what's happened. 178.75. A T4 flange is just too small for a 6-liter engine, so if one's good, two's better, right? So that's the plan. That's its next upgrade. You heard it here first, folks. Let's get the second turbo. That way, we have enough fuel system, we have enough injector. Possibly going to need to put another pump on it, but we'll see. So yeah, it's going to be cool, definitely. We can't wait to get it up and running. Right now, by ET, everything, every pass we've made down the track, we've taken what the car weighs and what the cars run. By that math, this turbo is capping out about 650 horsepower, which, for a normal person, that would probably be fine, but for us, it's not. So we're going to try to double it up. We're not going to go crazy. We're not going to try to shoot for like 1,300 horsepower. We do want to go. Our goal was 1,000 horsepower to the wheels and still be able to drive it on the street like a normal car. Can we do it? Probably, but being since that I'm half simple and I've done this for the last 30 years, I can live with a lot of stuff that a lot of people isn't willing to. I mean, biggest thing for the Cutlass this year is we got to get the second turbo on there. Man, I've kicked it back and forth 1,000 times. I really don't want to put a cage in the car, but we're probably gonna have to put a cage in the car, guys. It's just we're getting to that point. I mean, I'm getting known around the local tracks, and pretty soon they're just not even gonna let me through the gate if I don't put something in there because it. Yeah, send it. Yeah, well, the thing is, the last time we ran this thing, it was running, in the sixes or 680 or so. It's gone 100 or so in the quarter, so or in the eighth rather. And it was running like 680, 670. We was spraying a little bit to get it out of the hole there. We was able to get the 60-foot time down to like 1.5, but I know there's a lot more in there for that. And we're leaving a lot on the table. One thing, the converter I got in this car is way too tight. Yes, we're not pushing through it on the top end, but it's way too tight. I can only foot brake this thing up to about 2,600 tops, and it's starting to push through the beam, so that's never going to work. So we're going to work on it. We're going to get things figured out. Like I said, the biggest thing I want to do is get the second turbo set up on here and get it working. And then once we get the second turbo down in and running, get the fuel system sorted away, it's definitely getting a stock fuel tank with a sump put back in it. I'm done with the cell. I can't stand the fuel cell. I have range anxiety. I mean, I guess I could buy an electric car and I know how to live with it because I live with an 8-gallon fuel cell and I hate it. It sucks. Could I put a bigger cell in it? Yeah, but I want my trunk space back. I really do. When I'm not racing the car, I do like to have a set of speakers in the trunk because I do like my music and I like music with a little bit of bass to it. Even if you're listening to country or rap, you still need a subwoofer. So I want to get my trunk back. I want to get that fuel cell out of the trunk. We want to go back to a stock fuel tank. We'll just get a new tank that's never had fuel in. We'll weld a sump on the bottom of it. I got that Speedmaster pump in there now. It's 1,000 pound an hour pump. We're gonna put another 1,000 pound per hour pump in the thing. I'll just have two 10 AN feeds coming off of the sump into both of those pumps, and then that should supply us enough fuel. The injectors, I was doing the math on the injectors the other day when I was sitting around and have a whole lot to do. The 15 or the 150-pound injectors in this car on E85 at 90% duty cycle should be safe to about 1,500 horsepower. So that gives us a lot of wiggle room and a lot of safety margin if we're only going to go for 1,000. So that's the plan. And then, like I said, we're just going to beat on the Monte Carlo for fun. Other than that, That's really all I can think of right now. We're going to do a gear change in the car. So the car needs a converter change and it needs a gear change. So we'll probably do the gear change before we do the converter because I got 373s in there right now. I'm probably going to go with like a 323 gear. I think I'm not sure if 488. If it's a 323, it might be like a 327, but somewhere in that range in the 320s. We're going to drop it back to that, mostly to make it a little bit more streetable. It'll lower our RPM. I like driving this car every day when it had the 273s in it, but they kind of suck for performance. And that was on that little 7.5 rear end. We didn't want to run that anyway with any kind of power because we would have just ended up breaking the axle and putting in the ditch. But so the plan is to go with 323 gear. Then we'll see what this converter can do with that gear. If this converter is still too tight, then we're going to change the converter out. I mean, adding the next another turbo on it might fix that whole problem with the converter being too tight. So come up a little more power, get the now what I'm looking for. Sorry about that. Yeah, if we add more power, that might help that converter. It might loosen it up a little bit. So we'll see what happens. I got the Power Glide over there. I've had it for over a year now. So, but in doing research on the Power Glide, I found out a lot of guys said that stock case in a heavy car isn't going to live. So I still don't know what we can do with that. I'll probably just this transmission in the car is all borrowed time right now. I mean, no turbo 350 should ever live at the power level we're making it at anyway. And considering that I bought no aftermarket parts in there, everything in there is just junkyard parts. Yeah, we put better clutches in it. Yeah, I know the higher gear loosened up a little bit, hippie Miller, but yeah, I would really like to get this thing to about 3,800 is where I would like it. I don't think that going from a 373 to a 323 or whatever is going to loosen it up that much because the trans brake isn't in the cards right now. I mean, down the road it may be, but that'll be once I get a built Power Glide to put in there. They said there's so much stuff that I've learned just while I'm doing the research when I'm going to a Power Glide. I thought that that the stock case would be okay, but they're saying a stock case isn't going to be okay at 1,000 horsepower in a heavy car. And quite frankly, I don't know where I'm going to get weight out of this car. I mean, I've taken pretty much everything that was unneeded is gone out of the car, other than the interior. And I'm not going to ride around in the car with no carpet and no door panels or not. That just kind of defeats the whole purpose of having a street car. So, I mean, I may lose the bench seat for some lighter seats, but even if I go to buckets, I'm not going to go to them stupid, like, plastic dune buggy seats. Those are uncomfortable, so I'm not going to put those in there. And I don't know about an aluminum seat. I mean, I've had aluminum seats in my dirt track cars. They're not bad, but you don't want to spend a whole bunch of time setting them. So we'll probably just go with like I don't know. They have like those cheap $300 sets of bucket seats on like eBay and stuff. They're like just a cheap racing seat that comes with brackets, and they're not a bad seat. I installed a set in my buddy's Pontiac, and they were actually nice seats. So yeah, well, I know it does. You're right, it's gonna run off, but I guess we'll put a bigger cooler on it. Now it's not too bad. We'll see where it goes. If it runs too hot, we'll just have to, that's bigger coolers. This car now, one thing about running the E85, the engine itself doesn't make a lot of heat, so it does run a lot cooler on E85 than it did on pump gas. But yeah, I'm well aware of what you're saying. Is the high stall converter gear is going to make the transmission have to slip. There's going to be a lot more slip in there, but man, when it hooks, though, man, it's going to be great. This is that thing. I mean, for what I got, even the power I'm making without spray, it's only 60 foot and like 165, 60 foot, and that's just this car is making all of its power on the big end of the track once it gets rolling, and we just got to do something more to get it out of the hole. I mean, it works good. The nice thing about my setup is I can come off of the brake and pretty much with it to the floor on the street and only black track a little bit, maybe for 60 to 100 feet. It'll leave just a slight haze of a black track, but the car hooks good. So I know if I make the launch more violent, that's going to affect the traction, but it's all problems you got to work through. That if it was easy, everybody'd be driving around doing them. I'm in uncharted territory here. This is the most powerful thing I've built to date. So, as you guys are here, we're all learning together. That's all I can say. We're learning together. But I think going to the 323 gear will really definitely make the car a lot better. It'll make it uh it'll make it more streetable. Because right now with the 373s in here, this car turns probably a good 3,800 RPM or so at 60 miles an hour. It's up there pretty good. And like I said, I drove the car for years with 273s in it, so I'm used to being able to. It's like almost like an overdrive at that point. Cruising down the road at 2,000 RPM at 75 miles an hour. So we're gonna go. Like I said, 323 should be a nice compromise. It's still enough gear to get us rolling. Yeah, Slant Daily, what's up? Oh, we're talking about converter change versus the rear end change and transmission and just normal stuff. Working about turbo, the change on the setup that everything the car was last time it was out is not going to be again this year. Everything's changing. So I'm going to completely. I've started work there at the end of last summer. I started working on the hot side for the twin setup. So I got to get that finished up, get everything mocked up in place. I was looking at my options on the intercooler. Probably what I'll end up doing is just welding another 3-inch nipple. Oh, I know you do this for a living. Nah, right now, I know you're the converter guy. I believe I even spoke to you about that. It's going to need a converter swap eventually. But I got to wait till I get my gears and everything done. You can help with the trans. Yeah, I know. The problem with the trans is right now, as I said, is I got to get some weight out of the car. And I got to figure out how I'm going to make this power glide live, which is probably going to mean it's going to end up with an aftermarket case and an aftermarket planetary set because I'm already around 600, 650 horsepower now. With the twin turbo, it's probably going to be closer to 1,000. And the car weighs 3,500 pounds. So something's got to give because the stock case power glide is never going to be able to hold together with that kind of power and that kind of weight. So that's just where it's at on there. I mean, I don't know. I guess the option I could put a turbo 400 in it and just go with a trans brake. It'll let you leave in second too. That's always an option. Yeah, as I said, I was thinking either way, it's going to be. I looked around and honestly, I seen a lot of good deals on transmissions. I could almost buy an aftermarket cased power glide with good parts in it. Pretty much, it's comparable to the cost that if I just bought all the components and built it myself. So, do you think of 400? Yeah, I was thinking 400. I mean, I don't mind putting them together. And I said that, like I was telling the other guys, I've made this 350 turbo live this long in this car for just a couple of little tricks and odds and ends I picked up through the years with them to make them live. But I said I was thinking turbo 400, but I was just worried about the parasitic drag of 400 over the power glide. But the car is going to continue to be heavy. I mean, as I was saying, there's not a lot more weight I can take out of the car because it is a street-driven car. And I don't want to give up my interior just to save some weight at the track. So, I mean, there's always aluminum wheels. I'm going to put a manual steering box on the car. So, I mean, that's a couple pounds. I guess we're at that point now where you're losing just ounces here and ounces there, adding up. But I'll probably never get the car down. Oh yeah, with the twins it'll be fine. My problem I had right now is the turbo I have on there. It's only it's a 7875, but it's only a T4 housing, and it's actually a smaller .68 AR. And I knew putting it on there that it was going to be too small for a 6 liter motor. That it was going to need at least twins, or it was going to need a bigger exhaust wheel. So and a bigger exhaust housing on the thing. But so I just figured, why not? It works good like this. Why not double it? If I get a little bit of lag, it's fine for the street. I can live with lag. I said a looser converter, and I can play with the tune a little bit to get it to build some boost. But I just want a solid setup. Now, Slant Daily, is there a trans brake? I know there is for a 4L80. Is there a trans brake available for a Turbo 400 that still retains automatic shifting and drive? Or I know with a 4L80, you can get a trans brake that still retains automatic function when it's in drive. I mean, it's not a deal breaker, but it is nice just to sit the thing and drive and cruise down the road. That on average, I do put at least 30 miles a day on the car in the summertime. So having the transmission shift for itself would be nice. But like I said, it's not a deal breaker. 1 second. Yep. Cool, man. Thanks for the everything. But yeah, I mean, that's about it. Well, we've been working so busy, man. I said I've been going 9 hours a day, 6 days a week. So when I come home, I either, do nothing or try to manage your time. So I ain't really even, that's why I said, why I haven't been on here doing any lives lately. I've just been so busy. And I try to make some time for it. Tonight I was able to make a little bit of time to come on here for a little bit, let everybody know that I was still around and I'm still doing this thing. Well, what's up? What's up, Mr. English? How you doing tonight, buddy? Thanks for popping in. Yeah, we're just kicking around. I said, come on here to let everybody know I was still breathing, still on this side of the dirt. And I said, we're gonna get started soon. The weather's starting to turn now, so we've had some nice days. Our weather's been up and down here. Dawn can attest to that. He's in Pennsylvania too. I mean, it's 70 one day and 30 the next day, and we're back on our climb. It was about, I think it might have got to 60 today. Not, it was like 58 or close to 60 today. Uh, Yesterday it didn't get out of the 40s, barely got into the 40s. And it's going to gradually warm up, I think, to like Wednesday or Thursday, and then we're going to have another 70-degree day. And then they're saying it's going to cool off again for the next day. So it's typical springtime in the northeast of the United States. Roller coaster ride, hang on and ride it out. I heard there's some things going on though with the weather, that the long term, yeah, you attest. They said the long term forecast though something about with the polar air, the Arctic air over the North Pole about it switching directions, and they said that can mean that the spring is going to be a little bit cooler than average. He said it could be a repeat of 2018 that we had. That didn't get warm until later on in the year. Oh, there's my list. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, we're gonna go. Like I said, okay, the TCI 1 second, but you can, okay. Well, I said I can live with manual. It's not bad to click it back and forth. I just wondered. I knew a 4L80 was possible, but that's probably because it's electronic shift too. That changes things when you're not required, on manual hydraulics. But thanks for that. Yeah, I seen that. Yeah, it went smooth. Yeah, cold starts do go good above 70 for some reason, but mine's still not cold starting right because I left it. I did something. I was screwing around with it, played with the tune. I need to go in and erase my cold start file and my cold idle, all that learn stuff because I left the learn turned on when it shouldn't have been on, and now I got it all out of whack because it learned the wrong thing. So now it doesn't want to start cold, and it definitely doesn't want to start hot. But I did have it starting good. I have that file saved on my computer, so I just got to go back in and reload it once we get going here. That's it. It won't be long till we're starting to get a little bit of chance to work on the thing. And then we can try to break some more stuff. That's all. I mean, I can't complain. I did the turbo setup. I put that on there in what, 2021. I put it there spring of 2021. I put this turbo on. I ran it all that summer, all last summer, and I broke 3 pistons in that time. So I mean, that's not too bad learning because I'm learning how to do the turbo part. And technically, those pistons I broke, really, I mean, it was my fault for having too small of a fuel filter on there because my filter couldn't flow the volume, and that's what cost me the pistons. So, but we learned on that, and I learned that there's some things you can cheap out on some things on these vehicles, but you can't cheap out on some stuff. And your fuel system, you definitely can't cheap out on to an extent. So I ended up going with that big automotive. It was like $180 for a fuel filter, but it's a big enough filter that automotive said it's good to 2,000 horsepower, so that should be enough that we're not going to have to worry about. I do like to leave a little bit of safety margin and stuff when I put it together. It's like I said that we're going to put twins on it. Our goal is 1,000, but we're going to make sure our fuel system can handle at least 1,500. That way, there's always that room for error. Because errors do happen, mistakes get made. Sometimes you just overlook stuff. We're all human and we all screw things up. But when I do screw things up, I usually take the blame for it if I do it. I don't try to blame it on something else. Like I said, that broken pistons, it was 100% my fault. I should have been looking at the injector duty cycle and I wasn't. And I should have had a safety set on it. I have a safety set now that if my injector duty cycle goes over 95%, that it's going to pull timing and then slowly cut the ignition. So that'll protect it from there. First responder, what's up, buddy? Messing with the rat rod. Cool guy. Awesome. Yeah, we just figured we'd pop in here for a little bit, a couple minutes, say hello to everybody, thank everybody for sticking in there with us, and let everybody know what's going on. So we haven't been live for, I don't think I've been live for like almost 2 months. So, but let's see, it gets hectic, man. It does. It's hard to make time for everything. I got working, I got responsibilities at home that I got to balance, and spend time with, wouldn't be fair to Amanda for me to be gone all the time and not spend time with her. I got Tommy, he wants to go do things, so I got to do with him. So, I mean, it's hard when you're getting pulled in every direction, especially when you're used to having all this free time that I don't have right now. So, oh, the Honda, it's outside. It's right outside the door, man. He's slowly working on it. I told him he's not case swapping it until he's going to run a boosted D16 for a while. He's going to run single cam turbo, right? Handing a 17-year-old kid a D or a case swapped Honda would be like handing a toddler a gun to play with. So we're not going to do that. So it's all good though. Like I said, I appreciate everybody popping in here. Slant. Oh, definitely. Thanks, Slant Daily. Yeah, definitely, man. Like I said, you were one of the coolest, man. I'm glad we got to talk a little bit there, at Sykeston. Definitely, I hope you or hit you up when it comes time to go to transmission, but which should be coming up soon. I know where there's I don't even know. I got to research it because I know where I get a 400 turbo right now that I could put some aftermarket hard parts in and probably make work. So definitely, I'll be getting in contact with you. I'll shoot you an email and contact you. I see the UTG is getting ready to go live, so I guess we'll get ready to wrap this up, and everybody can run over there. So I know half these people here do watch UTG on Sunday, and I don't want to step on his toes too much. But thanks everybody for joining us. Like I said, we're going to cut a little bit short tonight. We're going to try to come back next week where we got a little bit more to do, so it's not just boring. Maybe we can get a guest or two on here, keep everybody occupied, keep everybody busy. I appreciate the support Hill Jack, you guys know Honda's better than anybody. Yeah, well, Hippie Miller, your big blocks, kids are different today than we were. Everything was dangerous when we grew up, so it almost killed us anyway. So we're lucky we survived childhood. We didn't have safety restraints, and we played lawn darts and stuff, so we grew up different. My first car that I had road legal was a 1980 Camaro Z28. So yeah, I survived that too. I remember coming home from passing my test, getting in the car, driving down the road as fast as the thing would go. But still, I'm not going to give him something there. He's got to learn. I mean, them Hondas are scary. When I rode in Addis's K swap Honda that time, when you can crack that thing open, it's crazy. So, we just had a different time. So I guess we're going to get ready to wrap this up, guys. Said thanks everybody for watching. I really appreciate it. We got some cool stuff coming, definitely. I'm going to take some time to start making some more videos. Uh, we might be getting a new daily driver. I found a 98 Camaro that might become my new work car to replace the beat down Monte Carlo. So we're going to see where that leads. I got some work I got to get done to the truck. I got work I got to get done to everything. I got more work than I got hands to do it, but it's fine. Well, like I said, Dwayne, Hippie Miller, First Responder, Slant Daily, everybody that popped in, man. Unfinished Project, Mopar, Dan, Hill Jack, everybody, man. You know, Dawn English. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys, and we really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody, man. And we'll see you later, probably next week. And remember, as we say here at White Trash Motorsport, look, I messed my name up. But remember what we say at White Trash Motorsports. You can sleep in your car, but you can't race your house. Good night, everybody.